I'm going to give my week 2 NFL picks. Start off with the Minnesota and the Minnesota Vikings and Philadelphia Eagles. I think I might have picked Minnesota last weekend. No, I did not. So, was not surprised at all, son. I did pick Philadelphia to win as well. I think at home, because I picked Philly to win this division. As impressive as the Dallas Cowboys outside of Dak Prescott looked, I still think this is Philadelphia's division. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I think Dak Prescott is going to be the Dallas Cowboys' downfall. That is what's going to keep them from being Super Bowl bound, as that was the weakest link. Is Dak Prescott is like 140-something yards and no touchdowns. Like, it was strictly run game, defense, special teams. That was it. I got the Philadelphia Eagles going into week 2. Going ahead and beating the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm just not impressed with, first of all, the Minnesota Vikings. There's a lot of quarterbacks that Kirk Cousins is better than. But at the same time, he's just an average quarterback. He's just a game manager. He's not going to wow you with his arm. He's not going to make these deep balls or phenomenal throws. He's going to keep the turnovers to a minimum. He's going to give you an average amount of yards. He's going to keep you in the game. Everything else is going to have to fall into suit. With this defense being as good as it is, this Eagle team, and even Kelsey coming back to make one more run at it for the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't think there's anything that the Minnesota Vikings can do against the Philadelphia Eagles. Green Bay at Atlanta. I didn't expect, with young quarterbacks and the young team, for Atlanta to actually be able to pull off the win last week. So I was kind of on the surprise side. That the Atlanta Falcons were able to come out of the week. And then again, I was surprised with Jordan Love. I'm still not sold on the whole Jordan Love thing. We'll see. You got game 1. I give you that. Atlanta, Carolina. You're talking about 2 young quarterbacks. Atlanta obviously was more prepared for this game. Green Bay, you got lucky. You played a Chicago team that looks like they might have even got worse in the offseason. I don't even know how that's even possible. Something I don't understand about the NFL. And we don't. They make the same mistakes year in, year out. Quarterback has one good year. Oh, he's quarterback. He's NFL ready. No, that's not usually how it works. How many quarterbacks are no longer quarterbacks, are backups, or mediocre at best, pissing away an opportunity for someone else to have a legitimate quarterback spot in the NFL are there? I mean, let's be honest. Well, Jalen Hurts had, 1 year? Good. College? Done all right. Can't use Green Bay or Atlanta. Both those quarterbacks essentially on rookie deals right now. So we'll see. Baltimore, I don't remember if Lamar Jackson had 1 or 2 good years. Ain't mounted to nothing. Here's Ralph, the unanimous MVP. That is one of the biggest and dumbest arguments to have. Well, he's a unanimous MVP. Okay. That's like in NASCAR, being voted the most popular driver. What does that accomplish? Did you win a championship? Did you have the most points? Did it mean you had any wins? Any trophies? Anything? Like, the whole argument, well, he was unanimous MVP. One, he should never been the only unanimous MVP or unanimous MVP, period. But an individual award in a team sport is about the most worthless piece of paper you can actually own. Joe Burrow had 1 good year at LSU? I'm not going to say that's mediocre. I don't think he's going to win a Super Bowl. I've been preaching that for years. But he made it to the Super Bowl. I don't care. The Bengals have made it to the Super Bowl 3 times. They ain't never won a Super Bowl. You want to hear another stupid argument I get to have on a daily basis? People want to throw up the argument because I live in Ohio. I'm a Browns fan. They're a Bengals fan. Well, at least we went to a Super Bowl. You've lost 3 Super Bowls. So at least we went. Okay, I got 8 championships. That was so long ago, okay? 2 of your Super Bowls were so long ago. Only one of them is even recent. You still lost. Now you upset because I could say we have 8 championships. You can't even say that. So long ago. You had the same amount of years. Well, it's not the same amount of years, but you had all these years to win something, and you've won nothing. I would rather have 8 championships saying that I won first place 8 times. I was the best team 8 times in my history than never be able to say I was the best ever. So all those people that want to have this argument, well, Cleveland, they've not even won a Super Bowl. They've won championships just because it was called something else. Well, it was so long ago. Well, how many Super Bowls or championships have you won? If you've not won 8, or if you were not an undefeated team, because little inside fact, the Browns were the first undefeated team and did not lose. Won it all. That's another argument I hate having. Well, it was less games then. Okay, less games when the Dolphins did it. People still recognize them. There were going to be less games when the Patriots, and obviously we was going to recognize them because we still recognize the Giants as the team to stop it. Well, the competition was different. Okay, competition's been different throughout the years. There's been times that there's only been a team or 2 that's been worth a flip. And there was a point in time, I swear, that the Buffalo Bills and the Dallas Cowboys teams were the only 2 teams in the NFL. And we watched the Bills go to 4 Super Bowls in a row and Dallas go to like 4 in a 6-year stretch and became America's team and everything else. I mean, next game on my docket here is Las Vegas traveling to Buffalo. I don't see Buffalo. 2 things. I don't see Buffalo starting off the season 0-2, nor do I see Buffalo losing at home to Las Vegas. Like I said, I have Buffalo winning this division. The only thing that's not going to happen that I thought was going to happen With Cincinnati taking the wild card out of there, I have Las Vegas actually, I think, being the worst team out the West. I still feel that they are the worst team. I don't know. Denver looked pretty rough, too. We'll see how long Jimmy stays healthy. Either way, I still got Buffalo at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. That doesn't change nothing. Tell you what, Jimmy Garoppolo got up. One of the times he got hit. It was looking kind of rough. I was like, oh, Lord, same old Jimmy. He toughed it out and played, though. I was kind of surprised. Next game on the list, the Baltimore Ravens and Cincinnati Bengals. I have Cincinnati finishing second in this division, taking the wild card spot. I have Baltimore finishing third. I'm still not sold on the Baltimore Ravens. You have a quarterback that doesn't have an arm. You brought in a injured pro receiver as your fix to help try to make your offense better. So you brought in a receiver that can't stay healthy for a quarterback that doesn't have an accurate or deep arm. Then your best chance was you had the combination of Lamar Jackson and J.K. Dobbins, and that probably would have helped carry you through most of the season, even though that's not the type of football you was hoping to play. But then, unfortunately, J.K. Dobbins gets hurt for the season. It doesn't matter. He gets hurt for the season. My opinions doesn't change about the Baltimore Ravens. Doesn't change about Lamar Jackson. Doesn't change about Odell Beckham. Doesn't change how I feel that the Bengals are going to finish second and was going to win at home against the Baltimore Ravens. None of that changes. Those are just things I'm throwing out there. I don't know. It's what happens when you give me the show all by myself for a night. All right, Seattle at Detroit. See, this might be the first interesting tough pick. Seattle, who was not supposed to lose in week one. Seattle, who look at that, even have the Browns in the play. If the playoffs were to start today, the Browns would be number one. Ain't that some shizzle? The Kansas City Chiefs would still find themselves inside the playoffs. The first 0-1 team to make the cutoff. But anyway, Seattle was supposed to win this game. They didn't win their game. Detroit was not supposed to win their game. Detroit wins their game. Not how the weekend was supposed to play out. So now, are we going to see the same Geno Smith as we saw last week, or the same Geno Smith we saw last year? We can see the same Detroit Lions team that we saw out of Detroit most of last season and last week, or do we go back to seeing the Detroit Lions we all know and hate? I think at home, I think we're going to see a Detroit Lions team go 2-0. Be a crazy world. I think I saw something that Detroit, Cleveland, Jacksonville, and it seemed like it was one other team for the first time in history, all are 1-0. How crazy would it be if Jacksonville, I don't know who they're playing right now, top of my head, Kansas City, so not looking good. But how crazy would it have been if Jacksonville, Detroit, Cleveland, and wherever the other team was, would have started off, I think might have been the Raiders. Or it might have been the Jets, I don't know. I can't remember now. But that'd be some crazy stuff. But Detroit, at home against Seattle. Next on the list, Los Angeles Chargers, Tennessee Titans. Honestly, I was kind of surprised that Tennessee did not win. I picked the Chargers last week, but I'm not going to say I'm necessarily surprised. that the Chargers lost. It was a close game. It was a good game. Tough opponent. So, I mean, I think it was Denver. So I'm not going to act surprised. It wasn't Denver. Denver lost. Who was it? I forget who Miami played. Who Los Angeles played. But I'm not surprised. It was a back-and-forth game. It was a good game. It was a tough opponent. But I am going to take Tennessee at home. I do have Tennessee winning the division. I think this is one of those divisions, again, that'll barely be a 500 team to win the division. So I'm not expecting a lot of wins really out of anybody out here. But Tennessee, I want to make sure that's who I do have. Just double check my facts here. Yeah, I have Tennessee. Mario had Jacksonville. I just want to make sure. But I do have Tennessee at home against Los Angeles. Tampa Bay and Chicago. Tampa Bay looked all right. Chicago did not. So I pick a Baker Mayfield team. So I pick a Justin Fields team. I think this one more so comes down to the home field advantage. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears are going to do something different. I just don't think this is working. I don't know if it's the lack of protection, the lack of confidence in Justin Fields throwing it, or the lack of him being able to throw it. But you can't have a quarterback running around all over the place and expect good things to happen, and they've not happened, and they're continue not to happen. I said all roads go through Kansas City, and looky. I have somebody in the studio. Oh, Lord, I got my co-host Mario in the studio. Mario, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, boss. I'm doing pretty good.
You do know the show's still on Eastern time, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do apologize to everybody out there today. I'm sorry. We're currently out here in Lee County at the fair. It's busy. Lost track of time. And then when I looked up, I said, "Oh man, like I said, I do want to apologize because I know I have a job to do, and I know I'm supposed to be here at 8:00. But I'm here now."
Where's the Lee County Fair at?
It's in Sanford, North Carolina.
Be a little more specific. You remember, I lived there for 20-something years. I know I know Sanford is in Lee County.
Yeah.
Where's the actual fair at itself?
Oh, it's off Colin Road, right by off 87, right before you get to US 1.
187, right before US 1.
One, yep.
So right before before the what's that city in between there and Chapel Hill?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so right before that exit?
Yep, right before that exit. Yep, right there.
Gotcha. All right. I know people answer vaguely like I've never been there before. If you would have said Sanford, anybody else in the world, I'd understood that one. But we're going to backtrack a minute. We got 30 minutes.
We definitely need to.
So
I want to change some things.
We're going to get through. We're going to get through these picks first. If we got time for anything else, we will. We only got 30 minutes.
Okay.
And I'm going to get you caught up to where I am. I'm going to give you all my picks and let you pick, and then that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got one more game, which would be the Tampa Bay game, the Kansas City game. Then all the rest of the games, you'll actually go first because I'm going to go first because I've already gave my picks. Then if we got any time left, we'll hit any other topics. But first game out the gates, I have we got Minnesota versus Philadelphia for the Thursday night game. I picked Philadelphia. Who you pick and why?
All right, I would definitely have to go with Philadelphia also. You know, even though they kind of lost control of the game against New England. But I think, you know, one thing about not playing your stars in preseason, it really does have an effect on you. You know, especially that first 2 games. So, but I'm gonna go ahead. And stick with Philadelphia. Hopefully, they can get their offense rolling. You know what I mean?
Second game on the list is Green Bay at Atlanta. I picked Atlanta. Who you got?
I'm going Green Bay. You know, even though Atlanta beat the Panthers last week, I'm gonna go ahead and say Love is a little bit better, and I'm gonna go with Green Bay.
Next one on the list is Buffalo home against Las Vegas. I picked Buffalo. I can't see them going 0-2.
Yeah, I'm on the same route as you. I'll say Buffalo as well. I don't see them losing 2 in a row, but I also think there's some concern in Buffalo about how Josh Allen is playing.
Oh yeah.
You know, during the games. You know, so hopefully he can calm it down.
There has to be concerns if you lose to a Jet team without Aaron Rodgers, with Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
We both managed to get that game right, even though Aaron Rodgers only played in 4 plays. But there's got to be concern in Buffalo. If Garrett Wilson, really nothing's changed. You lost Elijah Moore. I think you lost another piece or two. You added Dalvin Cook, who is not all the way up to speed. And yet Buffalo lost to New York, who really didn't make that many changes. You got Lazard, and I think there was one other. I think there was might have been one other piece that he brought in. There was not a lot of. To me, that wasn't like Tampa Bay. It was an overhaul or anything.
I agree. I totally agree.
Next one on the list is Baltimore-Cincinnati. I'm not impressed still with Baltimore. I don't think I picked Cincinnati to finish second. I think Ohio takes this division. I was not surprised last week with the Cleveland win. We beat them 9 out of the last 11 times. Joe Burrow's only 1-5 against us, so I'm not surprised with the win. But I don't think they lose at home against Baltimore. When I don't feel Baltimore is that good of a team. Who do you got, Cincinnati or Baltimore?
I'm gonna go ahead and change it up. I'm going to go ahead and go with Baltimore. The reason why is Cincinnati, is their time, you know, did we already see the best of Cincinnati? You understand what I'm saying? Is you know, is their team, does their team still got that mojo? You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go ahead and go Baltimore just to change it up. I'm gonna go Baltimore.
Now, Mario. Could you imagine having a star employee?
Yeah.
And you pay him like nobody has ever been paid before.
Yeah. Yeah.
You give him a $275 million contract. Highest employee to ever walk the face of this earth. Then to watch him go out and be the 5th worst employee ever.
I know. It's kind of, you know, did he rush to come back? Is he really healthy? You know, did he want to play week 1? just to get paid. Not want to say just to get paid, but just to show the organization that, you know what I mean, that I'm healthy and I'm here and I want to get paid. So he really did look off. You know, that's the same thing applies to no training camp, no reps, no time on the field. You know, practice is practice, but it would be something. Even though I did pick Baltimore, it would be something to holler about if they lose.
One, it brought tears of joy to my face.
Yeah.
But more specifically to your points, I think Kevin Stefanski has Joe Burrow, and I can't think of their coach's name off the top of my head right now, their number. I don't think he was rushing back. I think maybe he thought he was going to play better than he thought. That money was guaranteed. That contract was a done deal, so I don't think it was so much that. I just think that for some reason, and this was brought up, the Browns have the Bengals number, just like the Bengals have Kansas City's number, just like Kansas City has Buffalo's number. And just like Aaron Rodgers had Chicago's number. It just seems like no matter what, we beat the Bengals at least 9 out of the last 11 times. It doesn't help that you've held on to Mixon, which I don't know why you held on to Mixon, because he don't do a good job of holding on the ball or staying out of the headlines. You got rid of Piron, who was a good third down back. Now you're lacking that. And then now you're about to have a contract issue because T. Higgins wants to be paid like a number one, who you had Jamar Chase as your number one. And I have no problem with him being your number one as long as he doesn't go back to the dropsies, because that was a big issue with Jamar Chase, which was so entertaining any game I went to, because it seemed like every pass that went to Jamar Chase, he dropped. He's gotten better with that, but T. Higgins and your contract situation, and now that you paid Joe Burrow all this money, it's going to be interesting who Cincinnati is actually able to hold on to. So we might have seen the best of what we're going to see. And this is, for me, Cleveland's small window of opportunity because of what we paid Deshaun Watson. The fact that I think we're in the last year of Amari Cooper. Peoples-Jones, I think, still a rookie contract. We just did Njoku. I think Chubb is fine for a little bit. I know we're going to be in a small window of opportunity that we're going to have to do what we're going to do if we're going to do something before we got to start shelling out more money and that being an issue. Next game on the list is Seattle and Detroit. Like I said, Seattle didn't play as good as we thought. Geno Smith didn't look like the Geno Smith from last year. It looked like the Geno Smith we're used to. Detroit played, I think, a little bit better than I thought. I think it was kind of on par with what you thought. I went ahead and picked Detroit at home, I think. I think Detroit's got a better situation at home going on than Seattle. I think we're going to see Seattle crumble this year.
Yeah, I'm riding with you on this one. I'm also going that way. I don't think Seattle is the Seattle of last year, so I'm going with the Lions.
This one's a tough one. I think I picked both these teams to win and both of them lost, and that was Los Angeles, which I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't know who they played, but I know it was a tough matchup and a good team that they went back and forth with. And then Tennessee also in a tough matchup lost. Both teams 0-1. I do have Tennessee win this division, so therefore I can't afford to have Tennessee, or do I think Tennessee is going to go 0-2? And I don't know if he was on the air yet when I mentioned this, but if the playoffs were to begin right now, the Cleveland Browns would be the number one team in the AFC. I don't think I've ever seen that. But anyway, I picked Tennessee to win against Los Angeles in Tennessee.
I'm gonna go Tennessee too. I'm gonna ride with you. I don't see him losing 2 games, but Tannehill did not look impressive with them 3 interceptions. You know, I'm gonna go Tennessee also.
This game I felt was a tough one. I felt that you were taking me. It came down to the home team, but the lesser of these two quarterbacks, and that's Justin Fields and Baker Mayfield. We got Chicago and Tampa Bay. I took Tampa Bay so because they're the home team. You don't know what Mayfield you're going to get, and I think the Bears are going to have to do something different. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's got to do with lack of protection, lack of confidence in Justin Fields, or he just doesn't have it. But he's not throwing the ball like it needs to be thrown, and it's not working.
I definitely agree. You know what I mean? I agree with what you're saying. I really do. But I'm gonna go ahead with this 1 week, and I want to see if Justin Fields can redeem himself. You know, they bringing in the wide receiver. He got plenty of weapons. You know what I mean? He got options to do some things. I just want to see him do them. You know, but I'm gonna go to Bears. I'm gonna go to Bears. See what the Bears gonna do. I got the Bears.
All right, before I continue on, I don't know if you know how the record played out last week for us, but our picks last week, I finished 9-7, and you finished 8-8. So that's where we're at right now, neck to neck.
Okay.
Next game on the list, I pick first, and then the rest of the games you will pick first.
Okay.
At first, I thought this was going to be a no-brainer. I felt, okay, this is who I said the path's going to go through. This is who's going to win it. This is who's going to win this week. But the more and more I think about last week, and the more and more I thought about the fact that, okay, what happens if Travis Kelce is not 100%? That offense did not look good without Travis Kelce out there. Okay, Chris Jones has held out for a while, so he's not done a lot. This 1-year contract puts him back on the field, but at what shape? And is he happy with this 1-year contract? Because it just kind of seems like you just kind of caved in so you got credit for your year because all you got was 1 year. You could have been franchised, got the same amount of money, and nothing's different. So what made you cave in and get back on the field? Jacksonville's been running on all cylinders since like the second half of last season. And so this, which at one point in time I thought was going to be no brainer, the more and more I've gone through my picks, the more and more I've thought about this. And even though Vegas got the odds of Kansas City by 3, This is going to be my upset alert right here. I think Jacksonville can take Kansas City at home, especially if Kansas City plays anything like they did last week.
Yeah, you definitely got that right to feel that way. You know, it's kind of shocking to sit there and say Jacksonville over Kansas City. You know, but I'm gonna sit here and say I'm gonna go ahead and go Kansas City one time. Even though they did look terrible, their offense didn't look good, and their running game without Jones was exposed on the defensive end because Jones and who they got on that defensive line doesn't work. You know, but I'm gonna go Kansas City. I'm gonna go on to Kansas City just out of good faith.
All right, the next one on the list is Indianapolis at Houston.
Oh man. Since I'm choosing first on this pick, Richardson, he did some good things. Stroud did some good things. I'm gonna go ahead and go. I'm gonna go ahead and say this is that first win for Houston right here against Indy. I'm going Houston.
I'm going to go Houston as well. I was not impressed with either one of these teams. This is another one of those situations that a home field. I just feel kind of bad for Indianapolis. It's just been kind of a whole crap show over there in lighter terms. And just so I don't forget, I don't want to get off topic, but this is going to be kind of off topic. Do you watch the Monday Night Football?
Yeah, I did.
Do you watch the Peyton and Eli version of it?
No, I sure don't.
I watched it this time. It was rather entertaining. It was the first time I've ever caught their version of it.
Yeah, I never.
I never watched it. There was a couple times like Peyton Manning didn't realize that Zach Wilson was still the Jets' backup quarterback, and he was like, "Who's their quarterback? So and so or Ken O'Brien?" Which Ken O'Brien was their quarterback back in my day growing up, and he just kind of laughed. He's like, Zach Wilson's still on their roster? And Eli was like, yeah, that was the number one or first-round pick last year. And just some of the stuff. And then when they watched him get on the golf cart, they're like, no, I thought it was just an ankle injury. I thought they were going to tape him up, bring him back out. Like, some of the stuff that they say is just so entertaining. I will try this next Monday night game. That's the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game. I'm going to try to see if I can watch it and see if it don't ruin the experience for me, since it's my team. But I was curious if you ever watched it. I watched that version. Next one on the list. Next one on the list is San Francisco at the Los Angeles Rams. What you think?
So I can't take nothing from them 49ers. You know what I mean? I got them going with the 49ers.
I'm going to rock the 49ers as well. I think Purdy kind of answered some questions for some people. And so I think a lot of people are going to rock and ride with Purdy and see how this continues to go and if he can continue doing what he's doing out there for the 49ers. I don't know. I picked the 49ers to win it, so I don't know. I just don't. The Rams to me became the Miami Heat, where you threw this team together with some young players, and then you had to add all these aging veterans at veteran minimum so you could fit everybody and have some kind of veteran experience and respect. But then once all the young talents went every which direction, it left you with kind of all the old veteran players that are not going to win you a championship. And that's just kind of how I see the Rams at this point. I mean, hence they just won like 2 years ago, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't see him as a threat. I don't know why. I just don't see him as a threat. I don't even know if I even picked them as the top two teams out of the West. I might have picked Seattle over them. The next two on the list, I think there was no surprise of Arizona. I think we were more surprised by the Giants. I don't think, for the most part, anybody was surprised by the end result and who won the Giants and Cowboys game. I just think we all thought it was going to be a closer game than that. Cardinals, I don't think there was really any expectations or really any surprise they lost. Mario, who do you got?
I'm going with the Giants. I just don't see them doing it again. You know, even though field conditions were bad, you know, and rain and wet balls and all that type of stuff, interceptions, fumbles, I just didn't picture 40-0. You understand what I'm saying? But
no.
But it is on. You got with Daniel Jones signing that big contract. You know, it really does put a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones and the head coach. You know, because they definitely got to figure it out. Just because the head coach had to sign off on, you know, giving him that big contract, so he kind of figured that, you know, this is something that he can work with through his coaching career. So I'm gonna go ahead and go Giants.
I'm going Giants as well. I have no confidence in Kyler Murray or anything that the Arizona Cardinals. I think they're going to have to rebuild that whole situation. It's beyond me. Well, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, but then that could be followed up with another statement. My first statement was it's beyond me why they paid Kyler Murray the money they paid him, especially him admitting that he doesn't study the playbook. But then we watched the Giants openly pay the money they did for Daniel Jones, who's not much better. But anyway, so I guess that's tick for tack on that. But I think the Giants are going to win this game. The next game on the list is the Giants at Dallas. No Rodgers. I don't think it really makes a difference. Like I said, you got all first picks the rest of the time, but I'm assuming we're both picking the same one. I don't think it would have made a difference if Aaron Rodgers was out there playing or not, unless he would have lit that up last night like we have never seen it lit up before. Who are you going with?
I'm riding with you. I'm going Cowboys.
Yeah.
Even though
even with Aaron Rodgers, unless do what?
I said even though the Jets defense, showed out, and they are going to keep them in some games, but I just don't see them keeping the stamina throughout the whole game. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely going Cowboys.
If Aaron Rodgers was playing, I feel you had a better shot.
Yeah.
Because the Cowboys' special team and defense showed up and are as good as advertised. So I think if Aaron Rodgers is playing, I think you have a chance to go toe-to-toe. I think that Dak is not who Dak thinks, or Dak is not what he's paid to be. He's not that good of a quarterback. He's paid way more. He's overvalued. And so when you cross-reference the age versus the experience versus the offensive lines versus the chemistry, I think you kind of even almost all of it out. I think because of the fact that Dalvin Cook has not been over in the Jet system, but for a few weeks, you might give the running game to the other side. But I think your receivers are pretty much in line. Your 40-year-old quarterback versus Dak Prescott's pretty much in line. I think your two differences that would have made, even if Aaron Rodgers would have been playing and why it still would have went to the Cowboys, is one, the coach, and two, the special teams. I think the Cowboys outperform on both of those. You throw no Aaron Rodgers, that's 3 out of really 4 categories out the gate no matter what. But we're both going with Dallas. I don't think that's a surprise. Washington winning to me was a surprise. I don't remember if I took them or not. I don't remember who they would play. But just seeing Washington, no, I did pick them. We both picked them. They must have played someone really bad for us to both pick Washington. Probably someone as bad as Arizona. I don't know, maybe the Denver. Is that who they played? Well, it don't get much harder this week because they're playing Denver. Interesting game. I don't know if Denver fixes. I don't know if there's even fixing what they've got to fix. Who you rolling with?
Do I see Wilson losing 2 games with a new head coach? It's possible. Do I see the Commanders going 2-0? Possible, but I'm gonna go ahead and go Washington. Denver gonna go 0-2.
I thought we was going to go separate directions here, but we didn't. I went with Washington as well. Didn't think I would assume Washington would be 2-0 and head of the tied for the head spot out in the East, but here we are. I don't know. I think. I think there's a lot bigger issues in Denver than they realized. The next two on the list is Miami and New England. Of course, New England fell short this week. Miami, very impressive. I think we both agree as long as Tua stayed healthy, Miami would be a good team. It really all came down to that. I tell you what, Tyreek Hill was on a whole different level. And yes, I got to watch the Cleveland-Cincinnati game. I believe I did have the red zone pulled up on my phone. I had it pulled up. I just had it turned down, and then once the game was ended, then I switched over to the red zone on the big screen TV since we had this conversation about the red zone. But Tyreek was on a whole different level. We got Miami in New England. Who you got?
I'm going as long as Tua's healthy. I'm going with Miami because them boys got something going on their offensive side. Them boys fast. Them DBs and safeties, they don't know what to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and go. I'm going Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm riding the Dolphins. I think I had New England finishing the worst out of the East. The whole Mac Jones thing, it just doesn't seem like there's anything going right for New England at any aspect of their game plan. The Saints.
Can I ask you a question?
Travel into yeah.
If the Patriots finish last, is Bill Belichick's time is up?
No.
Okay. Just a question.
I think it should be. I think these last few years, I think we're headed into that direction. But the reason I say that is, one, I don't see Bill Belichick finishing a season the worst in the East. But two, even as quiet and standoffish as he is, Robert Kraft has been at times, which was kind of surprising to see Tom Brady, Robert Kraft, everybody buddy this weekend with the retirement of his jersey and all that. I still think that there would be a big to-do on Bill Belichick's last season. There will be a kind of a farewell tour. I mean, you're talking about one of the greatest coaches of all time. I just can't say all of a sudden, well, I decided in December that, this was it. So I'm letting y'all know once the season ends in 2 weeks, I'm done. I just don't see that happening. I see him being part, because he's been there so long. I think he's part of the whole decision-making. And not so much the decision-making, but helping mentor the next coach in is more what I'm looking at. Someone that's going to help kind of take the next coach under his wing. Look, this is how things are ran. This is how we do things. Of course, the new head coach is going to be able to modify things, but to at least get him, here's the keys. This is what this key goes to. That key goes to. This is this lockbox combination, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things to taking over as a head coach. I just think it would be more of a thing. Even as quiet and secluded as Bill Belichick is, I just can't see him going out quiet. Like, I just see this farewell tour, this just appreciation from everybody of what he has done for the sport. Your thoughts?
I'm on the same page. I think he will have a farewell tour, which he deserves, but the more games that he loses, without Tom Brady, it just feels a little weird. Even though he did put Tom Brady in when Bledsoe got hurt, we all know that story. But and then you think about how funny he is acting with quarterbacks, because he is kind of funny acting when it comes to these quarterbacks lately. Putting them on practice squad, taking them off, bringing somebody else in, threatening to get rid of Jones, so he's kind of all over the place since Tom Brady left, but it just feels a little bit weird as he loses more games without Tom Brady. But I feel you. I'm on the same page as you.
Next game, the Saints at Carolina. Saints coming off the win. Carolina, not such a good weekend. Where are you sitting on this game for Sunday night?
All right. Okay. It's actually, we play Monday night with y'all, actually, doubleheader. But it didn't look good. It didn't look good as far as how things went, with 2 interceptions with Bryce Young, same spot, same situation, and he gets a lot of opportunity to throw the ball, but the ball is not getting down the field. You understand what I'm saying? Just averaging 3.8 or 4 yards per throw, I believe it was last week, if I'm not mistaken, off of 28 plus passes. It just doesn't, seem right. Screens and bubble routes, slant, they're only going to get you so far. Just because the safeties don't have to play up. They can just sit in the middle of the field and just look at the quarterback, so it does have an effect. But there's no way that I'm just being real with you. There's no way that I'm picking the Saints over Carolina. So I'm going Carolina. I would really love a win. Could I see him losing? I can say yes, I could see him losing. But do I want them to win? Yes, I do. But it just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. But I'm going Carolina.
I can see them losing. I'm gonna pick the Saints.
Yeah, I know.
The last game, doubleheader. Monday night, we got Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Cleveland is favored 2.5 points, which I'm kind of surprised, especially being in Pittsburgh. This rivalry is also kind of taken a twist, a turn for the better for Cleveland. It seems over the last few years we have done better with this series. I'd be willing to bet in the last 3 years we're probably above 500, not by much, but above 500. Probably like a 6-4 or a 5-3 or something to that nature. Probably 6-4. We might be 5-5. At one point in time, Pittsburgh owned us as well. I have Cleveland winning the division. I have Pittsburgh finishing last in the division. I think Pittsburgh's got a lot to do and continue to rebuild. I think, honestly, and this is where I'm having a hard time separating the sports host, blogger, commentator, whatever you want to call it, separate that from the sports fan. I could imagine what it was like, especially like that 15-1 season, that Carolina fans thought that they were going to win a Super Bowl, and try to do this. Because I see this team being better than everybody's predicted, and it's looking more and more like the team I projected when I said that they would go 13-4, or 12-5. I forget what I called. I think 13-4 is what I called. I think I'm starting to see more of what I think I saw versus what others say they saw. And so trying to keep the fan side and the host side separate, so I'm not being biased on my picks and bias on my commentary here, but I am definitely taking Cleveland. Yeah, I call 13-4. I'm definitely taking Cleveland in Pittsburgh. I don't think this game's even going to be close. I think our offense is going to look even better. I think we're going to figure out a little bit more of this run game. I think those passes that kept falling short for Deshaun Watson become less and less. And I think that defense looks even better than it looked last week, holding Cincinnati to 3 points, Joe Burrow to 82 yards, didn't let them hardly run. I think that defense I think every week we make this run, I think the defense, more specifically, will become more and more confident. And I am the biggest firm believer that offense wins you games, defense wins you championships, and this defense can feel that they are a championship defense.
Just $5 even.
My prediction might even exceed itself because we might not just lose early in the playoffs like I called. But I'm definitely Cleveland.
Oh, yeah, me too. I'm going Cleveland as well.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel